Hello and welcome to my channel, Talisman Tarot. In this reading I want to ask the cards and Spirit directly through channeling about what your teacher thinks of you. And I have 4 groups here that you can choose from. This will be group number 1, this will be group number 2, this will be group number 3, and this will be group number 4. And so I will ask you to use your intuition and choose the group that speaks to you the most, the group that catches your eye, and that group will be your group. And if you need any more time to choose, you can just pause the video. But if you don't need any more time, then just head down to the description box below to find your timestamp and click on that, and your reading should appear in front of you. And yeah, so I'll see you in your reading. Hello, group number 1. You chose this The Medicine Woman Tarot deck, and I will start with some channeling and then I will shuffle the cards for you, group number 1. So, okay, Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 1, the people who will choose group number 1? What does group number 1's teacher think of them? What does group number 1's teacher think of group number 1? I feel like for many of you, your teacher is very fond of the way you write. They really like the way you communicate through writing. Maybe this teacher has read something you have written, maybe some essays, or maybe just an internet email correspondence or something, where they could really tell that you have a way with words, especially the written word, that you have a good grasp on the written word. So I feel like your teacher sees you as a writer or a creative person, someone who should write fiction. I don't know why, but maybe your teacher has read something fictive that you wrote, some kind of maybe a poem or some kind of fairy tale story or something. This could have been an old teacher of yours, someone you had when you were younger, like in school, in middle school or something, I don't know. But if you're asking about an old teacher you had, I feel like this teacher read something something you wrote that was very imaginative and creative, and they could just tell that you could become a very awesome fiction writer, someone who writes fiction, maybe sci-fi or fantasy or something. But I'm gonna shuffle the cards and see what the cards have to say about what your teacher thinks of you. What does group number 1's teacher think of them? I also feel like they see you as someone who's a bit rebellious. Like, you don't care about grades and stuff like that, that you just want to show, that you just wanted to show your teacher your art and your abilities, and you weren't really that focused on fulfilling the assignment or something like that, that you were just more doing autonomous work, where it was more like you were just doing what you wanted to do and wanted to show off your talent in the field that you actually shine in and something. So with the Magician reversed, I feel like your teacher, I think your teacher sees you as someone who is very good at one thing. Like, you have like this one talent that you're just extremely good at, and I think your teacher sees you as someone who should just choose that path, because that's the path that will lead you to success. Like you might have been like thinking of different things that you wanted to do. Like maybe you have been a bit confused on when it comes to what you should do with your life, and maybe you have addressed this problem in front of your teacher or with your teacher. Maybe you have talked to your teacher about what you want to do when you graduate, or when you're done with your studies or something, and maybe you have shown a bit of confusion or uncertainty to what your purpose is and what your mission is here on earth. And I think your teacher just wants you to believe more in yourself and be more certain of your talent, because your talent will get you very far. You just have to believe that you have it, and invest in yourself, and invest in, and just believe that you can actually make it. Because I feel like your teacher wants you to try the big league, like try to, like if you're good at writing, I think your teacher just wants you to write a book and just put it out there, because I think your teacher feels like you're the type of person who could write a best-selling novel. So you should just go for it, because there's nothing to lose here, and everything to gain from it. So and like you're not a master of all trades. The magician is kind of the master of all trades. The jack of all trades, master of none. But I feel like when it's reversed, it's like you are actually a master of your trade. But you have one trade, and that is the trade that you should focus on, because that is the one that you are already mastering completely, and so you should just build up on top of that, even though there's not a lot of room for improvement, because you are very good at it. So I feel like your teacher sees a lot of potential in you, but they just want to push you in the right direction, and they feel like you already know what that direction is, but somehow you are uncertain whether you should just go for it or not. And maybe you have been told by your parents that you have to have a craft, something to fall back on if show business, or if publishing or something like that, if that dream doesn't come true, then you have something to fall back on. And so maybe you are trying to, like maybe you are thinking of finding that craft that you can learn, and then you will be able to do that if everything goes to shit. But I feel like your teacher just wants you to focus on that talent you have, even though it's a long shot, even though not a lot of people make it in that industry. But I feel like your teacher has a lot of faith in you and believes that you can actually do it. So they don't want you to just waste a lot of time on something that isn't gonna make you some kind of big shot, or like that you where the talent that you have can actually make you big in your field. And so I just feel like your teacher feels like it's a waste of time to learn a craft when you have a gift that you have been given by God, and your teacher just wants you to do that instead. So I'm gonna shuffle some more cards and see what your teacher thinks of you. I think they think really highly of you. Very like see you as someone who's very talented, very gifted, naturally gifted. So okay, with teaching Lodge of the Arrows, this card is reversed. I think this I think your teacher feels like they can't teach you anything. That somehow you know everything, and they feel like there's not a lot they can teach you that you don't already know about. They feel a bit like you're wasting your time doing whatever they are trying, like that you shouldn't be in the classroom. You should be doing something differently or different. If this is a current teacher of yours, someone you have in the university or something like that, I think they feel like you should be doing something else. Like you should focus on your acting career or your writing career. You shouldn't be wasting time in their classroom learning something that doesn't really interest you that much. And if this is an old teacher of yours, I think they just felt like you were very smart and that they couldn't really teach you anything because you knew a lot. From the get-go, you already knew most of the curriculum, most of whatever they were trying to teach you. You already seemed to have a good grasp on it, so they couldn't really teach you any more than you already knew. With the 9 of Bowls reversed, I think they feel like you're like, I don't know if some of you have been away for a while, or maybe you have had some time off from school or something, where maybe you have had a sick leave or something, and so maybe you have just recently come back to the classroom after a time off or something. And I feel like your teacher thinks of you as very strong for being there still. Like, it seems like you have a lot of willpower since you're still in the classroom, even though you have had a long time off, that you have some kind of dedication to it. But I think they feel like you might have gotten back a bit too soon, that maybe you should have taken more time off. If this is an old teacher you're asking about, someone you had in middle school or something like that, then I think your teacher might have noticed that you weren't that present in the, like maybe you had a lot of absence in your, like maybe you were sick a lot when you were young, like when you were a child or a teenager. You might have had a lot of sick days, and I think your teacher felt like it was strange how you were able to always keep up, even though you weren't that much in the classroom at all. And I think that might also go hand in hand with this feeling that your teacher had of not actually being able to teach you anything, because somehow you knew everything, and somehow they were, even though they weren't really that much your teacher because you were absent most of the time, then still you excelled at the exams. So it seemed like you didn't actually need the education. You didn't need all the time that they spent teaching you or teaching your classmates, because you weren't there, but still you knew everything that they were teaching the other students. Somehow you were able to catch up with that, even though you were not around. So with the Apprentice of Pipes, I think your teacher, with the Tower also, I think like there's with if this is your current teacher you're asking about, I think your teacher feels like this was more like the thing that you're studying right now. It seems like it's more of a something that, some kind of idea that you had, but when you actually started studying it, you might have realized that it wasn't really what you expected it to be, or that you got a bit disappointed, and that you might have felt like it was a bit like is that it? Like is it, that it disappointed you, or that you were underwhelmed by it? That you had hoped it was more advanced or more interesting, that somehow you might have gotten a bit bored with it, and maybe you have a hard time keeping awake at your in your classes. If like for those of you who are asking about a current teacher, I feel like your teacher has noticed that you drift away and start daydreaming during his or her classes, that you're not really paying that much attention, that you might be getting a bit bored with it. And with the Tower here, I feel like your teacher, if this is your current teacher, I feel like they would want you to just make a decision and go a different way, choose a different path, because it doesn't seem like this is very fascinating to you. Like you seem to have a passion that you are more passionate about, and something that actually catches your interest more, and this teacher might just feel like whatever they are teaching you is just not that interesting to you, that you would rather be doing something else. And I just think they want you to do that instead. Focus on yourself, focus on your path, invest in yourself, and don't do something just because your parents think it's a good idea. And don't stick with something just because you've chosen it. Like you can make a detour, like you can choose a different path. You're not obligated to follow through just because you've made one like commitment. There's no shame in choosing a different path. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you, group number 1. I hope this reading was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 2. You chose this Tarot de Marseille tarot deck, and I will start with some channeling, and then I will shuffle the cards for you, group number 2. So, Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 2? What does their teacher think of them? What does group number 2's teacher think of group number 2? Okay, so I'm getting that your teacher finds you very funny and a bit talkative, that you might talk a lot, or that you have a lot to say, that you seem to also have an interesting backstory, like you've had a different life, an interesting life, but also just that you're very funny and has a lot of humorous points of view. Like when your teacher is doing something, like teaching something, you're always the first one to see something, some humorous angle to it, like see something funny about it, or yeah, like also just if this is not like something you do like with your like in the classroom, like something you but if you don't say a lot of jokes in the classroom out loud, you might write them down in your essays and stuff, and written assignments. Then you might crack some jokes on paper, and I think your teacher has noticed that. But I think, yeah, I think I'm definitely getting this feeling that your teacher finds you very funny. Your teacher might also have overheard you make some jokes to your friends, so that even though you might not like to talk a lot in front of the class, you might talk to your friends, and then your teacher picks up on that and listens to the jokes that you make with your friends. So I also feel like when you're absent, your classmates might talk about some of the jokes that you've made at a party or something, and then your teacher kind of eavesdrops on that conversation. So okay, with a Page of Swords, I think your teacher sees you as very smart, maybe a bit too talkative, a bit gossipy, or that you like to maybe talk when you're not supposed to, or maybe you crack some jokes during the class and stuff like that, and maybe your teacher feels like it's a bit distracting, or but also they know that like you're very funny, and sometimes they even hear the jokes and also kind of laughs on the inside because of the jokes, especially when you make some jokes about something that they can relate to, or when you maybe make a joke about someone else in the classroom or something. I just feel like your teacher is laughing on the inside, and that makes me think that they don't really want to show that they find it amusing. So it might be because it's personal, like so they can't laugh about it because laughing about it would put them in an awkward position, because they can't really laugh at their own student or students. Like if you've said something about someone else, but mostly just in fun or something, or maybe said something about another teacher or something. And so I am getting something about you being a bit gossipy, and that they say they think it in a not in a negative way. Like I don't feel like this person sees it in a negative way. With the Tower reversed, I think this. I feel like your teacher sees you as someone who can get away with a lot. You should actually get punished for what you do, but you kind of have some kind of charm to you that makes you sort of get away with speaking in the class when you're not supposed to, and cracking some jokes about some other teachers that you're really not supposed to or something. But it seems like you're able to do this without there being any consequences about it. Yeah. So I'm gonna shuffle some cards and see some more cards and see what they have to say about what this teacher thinks of you. Okay, so with with 10 of cups, your teacher sees you as someone who is strangely committed. Like even though you might take light to like the whatever you're doing, like in the classroom, like if when you speak during the class or something, it seems like you're not really paying attention, but somehow your teacher feels like it's like you're actually paying attention. Like they know that you're paying attention. They know that you know everything that's going on, and like if they asked you to recite everything that they just said, you would be able to do so. You're actually. I feel like your teacher might be a bit annoyed that you're distracting some of the students that might not have that ability to multitask that you have. So maybe you are distracting some people that are not really paying attention to the class because they are listening to your jokes instead. But they know that you have the ability to do both at once, like crack jokes and listen to what's being said by the teacher. So also they feel like you're very good at honoring your commitments. You're good at doing things on time. You're good at following the deadline, doing everything that you're supposed to do. Like this person can't put a finger on you as a student, like or like put a finger on your work as a student. I mean, well, there might be something. Okay, that's a little awkward because that came through that they can't put a finger on you as a student. That must mean something, and so I think this teacher knows that they can't put a finger on you because that they are a teacher, you are a student. So I think this person has your teacher, and I feel like your teacher has thought about you in a sexual way, and I know that for some of you that's really awkward. For others of you, it might be what you suspected, and for a few of you, you might feel the same way. So, but I definitely feel like there's a bit of a connection here where your teacher has picked up on some kind of something here. They really find you very funny, and they really excuse you for, like, they make excuses for you, maybe with the other teachers as well. They always talk your side, like when they are talking about you with other teachers, which they do, but they also do that with other students as well. So it's not just you they are talking about. They talk about all the students at some point or the other. Like so they and when they talk about you, I feel like they always make excuses for you. They always say that, oh, you're a very good student, even though you might talk sometimes during class and you might be a bit distractive during class and stuff like that, but you still get all your work done in time, and you are a good student and you get good grades, and also they let you get away with things that they wouldn't let other students get away with. So they have you as kind of their favorite. And you might have noticed that too. Maybe they sometimes use you as an example in the class, like an example of what a good student is or something. Like maybe some of your essays or assignments has been like put as an example in your class. Your classmates might have gotten like an example of your work, homework or something, as an example of how you do perfect homework or something. I don't know, and I just I feel like they put you on a pedestal and they have some kind of connection with you where you are their favorite student, but there might also be a bit more, but they know that they can't act on it, so they are not gonna try anything because they know that it's wrong, but the feelings seem to be there. So yeah. So yeah. But that's all I have for you, group number 2. I hope this reading was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel, and if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to book one, and have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose this Das Märchen Tarot, and I will start with some channeling and then I will shuffle the cards for you. Group number 3. So, Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 3? The people who will choose group number 3. What does their teacher think of them? What does group number 3's teacher think of group number 3? Okay, so I feel like your teacher knows that you have something that you're struggling with. I'm also hearing something about baggage. So some of you might have a traumatic backstory, or like you might have had a difficult childhood or difficult life. Maybe there's something with alcoholism or drug abuse, or maybe you have some family members who have struggled with drug abuse. Maybe you have, or maybe someone close to you have, or so I feel like there's just something there that your teacher knows about. That your teacher knows that it's been a struggle for you, that you've had a lot of dark times, a lot of difficulties, and maybe if you haven't said this to your teacher, if your teacher doesn't know about this or shouldn't know about this, I feel like this is just something they have picked up on. Like they can tell that you've had a rough life. They can tell that you come from tough circumstances, and yeah, So they know why you are sometimes not that great of a student. Like they can tell, and they don't get angry about it per se, but they feel like it's a bit of a shame because they see a lot of potential in you, but they also see you wasting your potential. But they also know why. Like they know that it's not something you can control. You can't control your upbringing. Like you can't make it disappear. Like you can't make all this baggage disappear. You've likely been through some traumatic experiences, and that's not something you can just wash away. That will always be there with you, and I feel like your teacher knows that, but it's still something that frustrates them to see you not do your best. They know that you can do much better, but if I feel like maybe they feel like you're a bit of an underachiever, like what you perform, the essays that you write, or things that you do in your school or in your education might just not live up to their standards, or your teacher feels like it's not living up to what they would have expected from you, and that they know that you can do better, and that they feel like the things that you do are a bit rushed, like you're rushing through them, and might have postponed them to the last minute, and that you procrastinate, or that you're not taking it completely seriously, or that you are taking it seriously, but they know that just all the circumstances that are going on around you are just making you underperform, and that's something that they just are a bit frustrated about. So with the Ace of Cups, I think this also, like the picture, like this is someone who is sick and being tempted by a snake who is pretending to be a prince with a crown or something. I don't know. I really don't know what this card is about. There are fairy tales to all these cards, and I try to memorize all the fairy tales, but it is a lot of fairy tales to keep track on. It's a big bunch. So, but just from the illustration, I think your teacher might see you as someone who's a bit absent during your classes. Maybe you don't go to your classes. Maybe you sometimes skip classes and don't appear in and so sometimes your teacher might feel like they don't really know you because you're never really there, and so they don't really have the ability to form a deep connection with you, because like and maybe they feel like they have a better connection with your other classmates, because they feel like they know your other classmates more than they know you, because you might be absent a lot, or quite a lot, and so and maybe when there's team building exercises, you might just not appear to those because you don't feel like they are a part of the curriculum, and so you don't really feel like it's not something you're obligated to do, and so you don't go to those things. But I feel like your teacher would have wanted you to come to those team building exercises just so that they could get to know you better, and maybe form a bit more of a bond with you. Like then they would have an easier time sympathizing with you, because then they would know you better and maybe also know what some of the things that you have struggled with in the past. So for some of you, your teacher might be afraid that you have an addiction, with this card of the snake tempting this woman. So that could be true for some of you. Not true, but that could be something that your teacher has picked up on. Maybe it's not true at all. Maybe for some of you, you just seem a bit distant when you are in the classroom. You might be a bit dreamy, daydream a lot. You might your mind might wander to a different different realm. You might just daydream, and so they might see you being a bit absent-minded, and they might assume that you're absent-minded because you're taking something that is making you absent-minded, that it's because you're on drugs or something, or I don't know. And with the good fairy reversed, I feel like your teacher feels like you don't have a good family that's supporting you in all of this. Maybe your teacher has noticed that your family is not around to, like, I don't even know why your family should be around, but maybe there has been some kind of social event at your school or something where the parents were invited. This could have been like something that maybe you're asking about an old teacher that you had in high school or something, and then maybe your parents were invited to some kind of event and they didn't come, and I think your teacher noticed that you were all alone or almost alone at this event, or maybe that you didn't appear at all to the event, and they might have assumed that it's because you have a bad family, or that your family is not supportive of you, and I think they took pity on you at that point. But this is also someone who's a bit like hard. I feel like this person is very I don't know why, but like dictator-like, like someone who's very who wants people to just do whatever they say and not play around, and wants everything to just be done, and so this is not the type of person who usually take pity on their students, because they don't really care that much about their soppy backstory. Like they don't really care that, like so, but they cared about you, and they took pity on you, and they felt bad for you, and felt like you couldn't really control what was going on, that it was out of your control, and that they knew that they couldn't really blame you for underachieving or something, because you had all these circumstances interfering with your life, and so it wasn't entirely up to you. you might have also ended the education. Like if this was in the past, if this is a high school teacher, you might have ended your education prematurely before you graduated, and your teacher knew about it, and they just felt like the only reason why you stopped prematurely was because of your family and because of your circumstances, and that it wasn't up to you, and that it was probably your parents that had made you quit or something, that they felt like the decision probably wasn't yours to begin with, or that it was something that you were pushed to do by some outer interference. So they don't blame you at all for it. They don't think of you as a failure. Quite the opposite. They feel like everybody around you has failed you. You are not the failure. Everybody else failed to do their job. Your parents failed to be parents. Something like that. So yeah. But I think that's all I have for you, group number 3. I hope this reading was helpful. And if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 4. You chose this supernatural tarot deck. And I will start with some channeling, and then I will shuffle the cards for you, group number 4. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 4? The people who will choose group number 4. What does their teacher think of them? What does group number 4's teacher think of group number 4? I feel like your teacher feels like you're the type of person who works smart and not hard. Like you find shortcuts. You're good at finding like finding like the simple solution. You're good at like where other people are overcomplicating things, you are undercomplicating them, or non-complicating them, or like making complicated things simple to understand. Like you're very good at like I feel like many of you could be asking about a chemistry teacher or biology teacher or physics teacher, engineering teacher, or something like math teacher or something like that, in the more logical field, something logical. And I think your teacher thinks of you as brilliant because you have this ability to find the simple solution to something complicated. Find the shortcut, which is actually what we should be, what you should be doing in that field. Is like there's no shame in finding shortcuts in whatever class that your teacher that you're asking about, the teacher you're asking about, the class that they are teaching is a class where you're supposed to find shortcuts or something. And so it's actually considered a superpower or a very good talent to be able to find simplicity in the chaos, like finding this solution of something that seems to normal people like just a bunch of numbers and a bunch of letters that don't really make sense to normal people. Like we just look at it and we don't see any pattern in it because we don't really know what all of it represents and what it all means. But but I feel like you're good at cracking the code very quickly and solving things very quickly, and using your logic to actually find the quick, simple answer right away, whereas other people start doing like these long calculations to get to the same result as you did, like where you can just skip ahead and yeah. So I think your teacher sees you as very smart, very gifted. But I'm gonna shuffle the cards and see what the cards have to say about what your teacher thinks of you. Group number 4. So Knight of Goblets, which is Knight of Cups. I think your teacher sees you as someone who I don't know if your teacher sees you as a bit flirtatious, or that you're flirting with. I don't know if your teacher feels like you flirt with them, or that you have been flirting with them, or that you flirt with someone else from the class, that you have some kind of romance going on with someone else from your class. That you have that you have a that you are in a relationship with someone in your class or in the school. But could also just be that they might feel like you have a crush on them, or that you look up to them, but in a way where it feels like it's more romantic than yeah, I don't know. But they might also feel like you that you're very brilliant, very smart, very good at what you do, but maybe sometimes you can maybe be a bit silly, or maybe you enjoy making jokes that are funny, but maybe a bit inappropriate sometimes. Maybe you have a humor that's a bit inappropriate, like, but in a good way, though, like where you maybe a bit dark, like a bit of a dark sense of humor sometimes, where like you're in the lab or something with like a biology lab or something at your school, and then you might crack a joke about serial killers or something, like or something like that, where it's a bit inappropriate but also funny, but your teacher doesn't want to laugh at the joke, because laughing at the joke would be inappropriate for them, because that would put them in a bit of a bad light. If they laugh at a serial killer joke, that could give them a bad rep for being a bit psycho. But you might make some jokes that are a bit psycho, like and I feel like your teacher feels like your teacher finds it funny, but also a bit like you maybe not the best audience for it, or that you should maybe save it for a better audience, that maybe the people that you work with or study with at the lab might not have the same sense of humor, so it might not really be the best crowd or something. I'm gonna shuffle some more cards and see what your teacher thinks of you. Group number 4. Okay, so with 10 of Cups, I think your teacher might, well, your teacher might have noticed that you flirt. Like for some of you, you might flirt with your teacher sometimes. And maybe you have a bit of a crush on your teacher for some of you. And I think your teacher feels the same way, but they can't act on it because they are a teacher and you're a student, and they know that they can't, like that it's a bit awkward for them because they feel it. I think they feel the connection also, like they can tell that you have a good back and forth thing going on. Maybe you share the same kind of humor. Maybe you both have a bit of a fucked up sense of humor, and maybe this person is a bit young for a teacher, and so maybe age-wise you're not that far away from each other when it comes to age. So maybe it doesn't feel that inappropriate, but it is because this person is your teacher and you're the student, and so there will always be like this will always be some kind of no for them, or they feel like they can't act on it because that would make them use their position to get something out of it, like intimate out of it, and so they would be the one in the wrong. If they acted on it, they would be the one committing the crime, and they know that, and so they know they can't act on it. So with the Hermit, I feel like your teacher sees you as someone who's very smart and introspective, very good at reflecting. Like if they give you some feedback, you're very good at reflecting over the feedback and actually improving yourself afterwards, and actually so you don't just keep doing the same mistakes. Like you do a mistake once and then you get corrected, and then you never make that mistake again. And so I feel like your teacher sees you as someone who's very good at following instructions. And you're also just very good at analyzing what, like the work or the studies that you do. Like you're very good at going really in depth with it and doing your research and just making sure that everything is right, and that everything is fully researched before you write it down. Very good at like double checking everything. And also just going very deep with it, like not just knowing something on a surface level. You actually, when you learn something new, you want to learn everything about it. Like you don't just want to know like the basics. You want to know all the advanced stuff as well. And so, yeah, I feel like maybe your teacher feels like you are many steps ahead of your classmates. Like sometimes you could maybe just calm down a bit with all the studying, because you're just getting too far ahead, and maybe you are also putting all the other students in a bad light, because they all feel like they are inferior because you have advanced to such a degree where you know much more than your classmates, and when you talk about something in class, many of your students, classmates, I mean, many of your classmates just don't know what you're talking about, and so they are just like a big question mark, and they just don't know what you're rambling about. And I think your teacher has noticed that, like, when you talk in front of the class, none of them know what you're talking about, and so it's a bit of a waste. It's a bit sad that you actually can't, like, because you're very good, actually you could be a good teacher. I feel like your teacher feels like you could be a good teacher, because you have an ability to find the simple answer within something complicated. So you could use that if in teaching. If you wanted to implement that in teaching, you could, because you could take something very complicated and explain it in a way where it sounds simple. But you're not doing that. You're maybe like I feel like you might be doing that, but you're talking about such advanced things that it's just you can't really make it so simple that, like, it's still very complicated. And if they don't know the basics of this advanced level stuff that you're talking about, then it's hard for them to keep track on it. So with the strength reversed, I feel like your teacher might see you as a bit weak sometimes. I feel like it's mostly when it comes to criticism. Like, you might be very, you might take it very badly when you get criticism. Like, you might, like, even though you are good at improving yourself, whenever you get criticized, like you never make that mistake again, and like you're good at following instructions and stuff, and listening to your feedback, but you might react a bit, like, in a way where you're kind of making it into a conversation where your teacher feels like it's not really negotiable. Like, maybe you have had a grade, like your teacher gave you a grade sometime, and it might not have been a perfect grade, where you're used to always getting straight A's, and then maybe your teacher didn't give you an A for something, maybe because you chose to go too advanced with it, where you wrote an essay or wrote a paper on something that was advanced level physics or advanced level chemistry, and your teacher might have given you a worse grade than an A, because you weren't doing the assignment that they were making you do. Like, that was not in the description of the assignment. That was not what you were assigned to do. You were supposed to do something more simple and more basic. So you overachieved, and they couldn't give you a good grade for that, because it wasn't what was asked of you. So, and you might have taken that personally, and also felt like that you didn't deserve a bad grade for actually overachieving and doing more than your fellow students did. And so you might have had a conversation with your teacher where you tried to negotiate with your teacher and make your teacher give you a better grade. And I think your teacher just felt like they had made that decision, and that you should have honored that decision, and that it was meant as also a way to tell you that you should relax more, and maybe do more of the things that your fellow students were doing, and then maybe also having maybe a bit of a social life in between classes, instead of just focusing so much on your school that I feel like your teacher just feels like you have no more time for social stuff when you're overachieving, and that maybe you should just cut back a bit so that you can actually have space in your life for something fun sometimes. And I think the bad grade was their way of kind of pushing you to relax and take a step back and not get burned out too quickly. So yeah, but I think that's all I have for you, group number 4. I hope this reading was helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to get one. And have a great day, and bye.